It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Bring Us Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the owner of the Players NIL, Mark Koesterer. How are you doing today?
Brandon, nice to meet you. I'm doing great, thank you.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start a sports business working in NIL?
Yeah, it's a lifelong story. As I tell everyone, I probably was destined to be in this space from a very young age. My father was a junior high gym teacher and a coach, and I was involved in athletics. I was the kid on the sideline cutting oranges for the wrestlers. I was the guy running water bottles out during timeouts at age 6, 7, 8, 9. And I always was probably, more athletic than the average kid my age. So I gravitated towards sports. My father gave me lots of life lessons, but one of them during that period of time was how do you use athletics to better your life? And that's the first principle of our company is how do you use athletics to better your life? And I was able to do that, fortunately, through a college scholarship where I met friends and people that I'm still friends with today, lifelong experiences, networking. I then became a parent of athletes, parent of college athletes. I worked in the entertainment business, sports and entertainment in Hollywood. And so I always had my fingers and my toes in that business. When name, image, and likeness was approved in July of 2021, it seemed natural that my passion and my professional experience would come together in this space.
Of course, what was it like first getting started with your first business being the president of it?
Yeah, so we have a difficult challenge here. We're starting a business from scratch, which is always difficult for any entrepreneur out there that's done that. But we're doing it in an industry that has no precedent. There's no groundwork. It's a brand new industry. And so to use the sports analogies, the goalposts keep moving. We keep thinking we know where we're going, and the industry changes. So it's been exciting, but it's definitely been challenging and requires a lot of education, self-education about what's happening and talking to a lot of people to try and learn as much as I can.
Of course, what was that experience like getting to work with the sports studio?
Yeah, so we were very fortunate. We were part of a management group that took over this small family-run business. We were able to grow it into being the premier production services company in Los Angeles, where we help produce the sports aspect for TV shows, movies, commercials, feature films. And what we did was we were the license representative for the NFL, NBA, MLB. And so we worked on lots of cool projects with lots of really great athletes and business people and actors and actresses. So it was a pretty, as they say in Hollywood, it was a sexy gig.
Of course, what was that experience like getting to work with the NFL, NBA, and other leagues during that time?
Yeah, I learned a lot. These are sophisticated businesses with sophisticated employees, well thought out business plans, marketing plans. And for me, it was an opportunity to sit back and listen and watch and learn from people that were very successful in their careers and try and emulate those aspects of their lives and their businesses that I thought would apply to us.
Of course, what was that transition like for you from working for the sports studio to then working now in NIL?
Yeah, so that was a company that had a physical location. We had inventory, we had employees. We're a virtual business now. We have 15 people that have contributed to our company, all of whom work remote. So modern post-COVID business life, working remote, Zoom calls, electronic communications, PowerPoints, digital presentations. So it's been quite a change. But I'm happy to say that I think we're a modern company using modern technology to build a business.
How did you know that you wanted to come out with a business for NIL and name it the Players NIL?
I think, what I've told everybody is I spent 5 months between selling Sports Studio and starting the Players NIL process, just doing research, paying attention to what was going on in the early days of NIL. And I saw what I thought was the same thing that I witnessed in Hollywood, and that was adults, lawyers, brands taking advantage of uneducated young people. And the second principle of my business, remember, the first principle is how to use athletics to better your life. The second principle is how to use athletics to better the lives of the people around you. And I thought I could live up to that second principle by building an education company.
Of course, what services do you offer with the Players NIL?
So we are a comprehensive playbook guiding student athletes from high school through their high school recruiting process, college decision process, in and completely through their college experience, and then postgraduate guidance as well around digital marketing, influencer relations, tax, legal, and compliance, community service and philanthropy, and financial literacy.
Of course, how has that experience been like working with those high school athletes to then get them to college, then to get from college to post-grad?
Yeah, I think young people today have an interesting view on business and life. And for many of them, it's a foreign subject matter, right? It's how do you start a business? How do you build a brand? We watch television, we see the Kardashians, we see Elon Musk, we see these wildly successful people. What we don't see is how much hard work it is, how much sacrifice it is. And I think in educating high school athletes, the most rewarding part for me is that we've had some success with student athletes, young boys and girls, both in high school sports, that have really embraced NIL as an opportunity to create lifelong experiences. And again, using athletics to better the lives of the people around us, it's very fulfilling.
Of course, what are some of the things that you're doing to educate them about the NIL?
So we have a hybrid model, which involves several platforms. The first is an online course where we teach our 5 pillars of NIL education. It's pre-recorded, so it's self-paced, self-learning. It's about 5 hours of content. We then go on campus or in front of student athletes, families, coaches, administrators to discuss what's going on in NIL, what it takes to build an NIL brand, case studies, real world examples. We bring in subject matter experts. We do Zoom calls with ongoing education. So it really is a modern marketing and sales approach.
Of course, what are those 5 pillars of NIL?
As I just described, digital marketing, influencer relations, tax, legal, compliance, community service and philanthropy, and financial literacy.
What was your experience like getting to start to write a book for NIL?
It was interesting. I never thought I would write a book. I was a decent student, but probably never applied myself. So I never had large academic dreams. And to write a book was something that I could never have imagined. But as I went through the first 8 or 10 months of building the players NIL, I realized that I did have a lot of life experience that people were interested in. Whether I met you on an airplane, in a hotel, at a restaurant, met you on the street, in the gym, we often, exchange stories about where you are, where you've come from, and I found that people were fascinated with my addiction to sports and my addiction to using sports to help people. And I thought I would share it in a book. And it was very cathartic. It really forced me to look inside and think about the things that I learned and what was important. But very rewarding, and I'm happy to say that the sales are going great.
Of course, for my listeners that want to know, what is the book about?
The name of the book is NIL for All. And the backbone of the book is that there is an NIL deal out there for every student athlete. You don't have to be the $1 million quarterback. You could be the $200 softball player, baseball player, lacrosse player. You don't have to make $1 zillion and change people's lives financially. You could do it through education. And so we teach that there is an NIL deal for everyone, and NIL for All is the name of the book. And it's exactly what it says. It explains how to build your NIL brand.
Of course, what is that experience like, obviously getting to help those collegiate women athletes get those NIL deals that the men collegiate athletes get?
Well, I think, again, we are an education company. We're not an agency, so we don't actually help athletes get deals, but we give them guidance around what those deals should look like, what the contracts should look like, and how to build a bigger brand to gain more deals. In the first 2 years, almost 2 years of NIL, we've seen lots of female athletes prosper in NIL, and that's really great and exciting. A large portion of NIL deals is based on social media, and girls and women in particular are probably better at social generally than boys, and therefore they've created more opportunities in some cases. I think 6 of the top 9 NIL sports are women's sports, and as a father of 2 girls, young ladies now, that makes me very happy.
Of course, with working with the NIL, how have you been able to see and educate the people looking to come out with jersey sales and merchandise using NIL?
Yeah, so merchandising is a big part of sports marketing. I don't care if you're the NFL, the NBA, MLB. They're licensed partners, especially on the apparel side, which is Nike and most brands, most leagues. Large portions of their revenues derive from jersey sales. I believe that apparel is just beginning to become important in NIL. And I think in the future that merchandising of jersey sales will be a shared revenue opportunity between the athlete, the schools that they play for, and the retailer that sells the product.
Of course, what is it like getting to work with these young collegiate athletes to educate them about the NIL deals that they could be getting?
It's rewarding. I'll say I like to help people, and I think we can change thousands of people's lives with this program.
Of course, what are some of your future plans with the players NIL?
We've launched our first phase, which is this online curriculum along with the hybrid instruction. I think the next phase will be more post-career guidance, things that will include nutrition, fitness, mental health, maybe NFT creation, things like that, where we'll have a menu of classes that the students can have continuing education.
Of course, what would that be like to see those young collegiate athletes get those NIFT deals?
Yeah, I believe that NFTs will be a part of sports marketing in the future. I know there's lots of obstacles and resistance. I think a big part of the resistance is people are afraid of it and unknown. And I think a lot of people have tied NFTs to crypto, which in the beginning was accurate, but today you don't have to use crypto to exchange NFT assets. But I believe NFTs will be a part of sports marketing in the future and a much larger part.
What are some things that you learn now that you didn't know before working and coming out with a business for NIL?
We don't have enough time on this podcast, Brandon, but I've learned a lot. And, you learn 2 things as you get older. One is, how much you know. In other words, your experience and the things that you've built up in terms of knowledge. And then the most important thing is the things that you don't know. And as much as I thought I knew about sports marketing, as much as thought I knew about athletes, I'm surprised every day at the things that I learn. And that's what keeps me going.
What advice would you give those people that are looking to work in NIL on the marketing side?
Yeah, I think there's huge opportunities. I think NIL is going to grow in college athletics. We have a division now between the large revenue sport athletes in Power 5 schools and the rest of the 98% of athletes. So there's a huge number. There's 500,000 college athletes this past academic year. So we have hundreds of thousands of athletes that need guidance, help, support, advisement. So there's lots of opportunity to help athletes, whether it be on the marketing side, the negotiation side, the representation, the branding, the education side, lots of ways to support athletes.
What advice would you give those young collegiate athletes that are looking to have somebody help them with the NIL process?
Yeah, I think you have to be an entrepreneur. So you have to have a plan, right? What is it that you want to do? Maybe you don't know how to get there, but what's the end goal? Is it money? Is it networking? Is it job creation? Is it life skills? What is it that you want to accomplish? And then try and find people that are like-minded and associate with them.
What advice would you give those people that are looking to work in NIL and come out with their own business or organization to help those collegiate athletes?
Yeah, you got to be determined. You have to continue to work hard every day. There's no, again, in today's modern work world, people work 24/7. So you work on weekends, you work on nights. So you have to be dedicated to what you want, and make sure that your dedication is in an area that you really believe in. So that makes it easier to work.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Players NIL?
Yeah, so on the web, it's theplayersnil.com. And on every social media platform, it's at theplayersnil, at theplayersnil. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can find me, Mark Koesterer, on LinkedIn. Follow me. I post things pretty regularly about news and current events in NIL. And hopefully you'll enjoy it.
Thank you again, Mark Koesterer, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Players NIL.
Thank you, Brandon, for the opportunity. I wish you luck as well.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Mark Koesterer, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.